We've been working on this 50 Chevy. We're getting ready to paint it. First, we're just gonna do a sealer. This is basically a fast, cheap, down low, who cares the outcome paint job. We've been working on this 50 Chevy. We're getting ready to paint it. First, we're just gonna do a sealer. This is basically a fast, cheap, down low, who cares the outcome paint job. The car was bare steel. He's been sanding it forever. He goes to car shows and sets it up, but he has to sand it in between every single car show. And it's just getting ridiculous. Him and his wife decided that they want a cool color, which you'll see in a little bit. But we're gonna shoot a sealer on it. We're not gonna sand it. We're just gonna shoot a sealer, shoot a base coat, shoot a clear coat, and that's gonna be the end of it. So we're just making it a cool color. It's gonna be a 50, 60, 200 footer to where as it's driving by, it's gonna be a cool car. If you get up on it, don't. It's just a cool car, man. We just wanted a color. So this is how we are gonna do this. We got Mike here. He's gonna be helping us out with all the tall stuff. He's over there. And Mark, he's the guy that, this is his creation. He did the chop on it and everything else. So just kick back, relax, enjoy the show. It's gonna be a long one or a short one, we don't know. We're painting a car. We got a time-lapse camera going, so we're gonna start sealing. They've wiped it down, they did all that. We'll show you that right now. Well, Mike's gonna show you the easiest way to mask off tires. They sell these, actually I have some canvas tire covers that you put on over the tire, but those start gathering a whole bunch of lint and overspray from other paint jobs and stuff like that. So we found out the best way to do it is just gigantic trash bags. So Mike's gonna go ahead and throw that on.
Just gonna take this trash bag right here, wrap it over the top of the tire, get it down as tight as we can on the back. Tuck it in, kind of wrap it around like so.
Now the advantage of that is, after we prime, if it starts flaking off, we could just replace the bag or turn the bag inside out. And then when you're done masking off the vehicle, when you go to throw away all of the paper and all that, you got 4 trash bags. Easiest way to do it.
Something to put your waste in when you're done.
Exactly.
I like it.
All right, we're gonna wipe down the whole car, mask off the rest of the car, and Mark is pulling off his lake pipes right now.
One thing I learned from this, being able to hang out with my friends while working, that's priceless. This was a lot of fun. Just hanging out in the garage, we were joking, laughing. It's kind of good that probably the audio wasn't recording, but we did have a blast this whole entire time. So if you have friends that want to come hang out in the garage with you, call them up. Now's a great time. All right, we wanted this to be a information type video, but our audio never seems to work right. So what Mike's doing right now is wiping it all down with a grease and wax remover. You apply it with one rag and then you come in and wipe it off with the other. That's very important. What we're using is Prep All. It's just a generic kind of grease and wax remover. It works really well. We seem not to have any problems with it. Keep on wiping it down. Now what you're going to do is doing both rags helps clean it. So what the first rag is doing is suspending all the grease and oils and waxes and anything else contaminant wise that's on that surface. Then the second rag pulls it off. If you don't do that, then what it does is kind of just smears it around, and then when you go to paint, you really didn't do any good. You have all that grease and wax and fingerprints and everything else that is the reason why you're grease and waxing, removing it. Do this 3 or 4 times, 5 times until the rags come out clean. On this bare metal car, it took a couple of goes. Now we come to the masking section. Yay! This I usually try to avoid. Anytime you mask, there's a chance of having an area to where you could actually mess up the paint. But for something like this, we didn't have a choice. All the rubber was glued in prior. You know, he's been driving this car around bare metal like this, and he keeps sanding it and sanding it and sanding it. And that's something he really doesn't want to do. So we're just going to throw some paint on here. So do the best you can masking around it. When you're masking the rubber, sometimes you have to clean it with acetone or grease and wax remover or something. Usually I do acetone, so that way I can get the tape to stick to the rubber really well. Sometimes they make it really hard for tape to stick to rubber. What type of paper you use is really important. This is not the right paper. This is something from a big box store. It's good for doing houses, but not automotive work. They make specialty papers for automotive work. The one we usually use is a white colored one, but they have some that are blue, kind of plastic coated, and it helps keeping all that lint and dust down because some papers are just loaded with lint. Make sure you go over all your tape joints and make sure there's no chance of any area that can peel, lift, or anything like that. And if you do fold any paper over, make sure you fold it inward. Because if you have any type of seam, that's an area for paint and debris to get stuck into that seam. And then when you come back and spray it, it gets all over your finish. So when you fold it towards the inside. Kind of easy. I wish I would have shown better. Now we're getting into wiping it down for primer. He's going to tack cloth off the whole entire car, and usually we do it 2 or 3 times. You want to make sure you get all the low areas and all the upper areas, all the corners. You even should wipe off the windows, the tape, the paper, all that type of stuff, because anywhere where debris can get caught. This is our first coat of, I want to say sealer, but technically it's a DTM primer. And, you know, shooting the lower spots is really hard. It's nice if you have one of the spray guns that have the plastic liners like what I use on my paint and stuff. but I wanted a big giant tip to spray down the sealer because I wanted to spray it on really wet. So we spray the whole entire car. Make sure you get all the corners, edges. You have to tilt your gun all different directions in order to get that spray pattern to go. And when you're spraying areas like I'm going to be doing soon on the hood, where that body line is, you'll notice that when I spray, it's going to build up on the bottom section and also on the section that I'm spraying. So you really have to worry about runs in those type of areas. So you kind of have to think ahead when I get to this area, how is the one edge going to lay on the other edge? So you'll see me tilt the gun and avoid certain areas, as you can see. While you're spraying, make sure you try to keep the gun tip the same distance from the surface. That's the hardest part about spraying, is keeping that gun close, moving, and doing kind of an overlap. I would say like a 50%, sometimes I go a little bit more, overlap. And that gives you the most even coating you can do. And whenever I get to the end of my spray, I let up on my trigger, and that way I don't continue with the paint coming out. Although when I do let up, I keep it going to where the air is consistent. Now, when you're really short like me, and heavy, overweight, you have to watch your clothes. I should have tucked in my shirt. I didn't have a problem with it, but we could have. And then I just put the hose up over my shoulder so that way we don't have to worry about it dragging on the side of the car. Now we're done with the first coat. This is kind of how the primer should look. You can see that it's still staying a little bit wet, which is perfect. And that's what you want. You want a long time for that primer to be wet. Now we're going in with second coat, and it's exactly the same as the first. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll go, instead of to the edge of the panel, I'll go towards the center of the panel. And what that does is that helps you with your coats being a little bit more even. It's kind of a trick that we do when we spray candies. Now with all the primering done, let it sit for a while, probably a good 45 minutes. We come back in with the tack cloth and we re-tack cloth off everything. Do the windows, do the everything, because you're kind of getting rid of any dry spray, any overspray, any nibs that's on it, and that really helps with your, as you see, color coat. So now the color coat, once again, same thing, 50% overlap. And I'm spraying a little wetter than you normally would. But we're trying to do this in just 2 coats, which I think we ended up doing 3 on this, but the color did cover very well. So one of the hard parts to get is inside those drip rails. So you'll see me kind of turn the gun up and get that drip rail a little bit better. As you can see, I'm using a different style gun, and this gun has the plastic liners inside of it. And I could actually spray the gun completely upside down, sideways, whatever I need to do, because it pulls from like a vacuum. So that way we could spray down low, spray up high, doesn't matter, the gun doesn't care. Once again, you can see I'm probably doing like a 50 to 75% overlap on this. And you just do nice even coats, letting up at the tip. Every time you spray that edge, you stop. And you don't stop the air, just stop the paint. And just keep going back and forth, keeping the gun the same distance all the way around. Once again, that's that body line I was talking about. You can see how it sprays on both sides of it. So when I do the hood, you'll notice it'll spray. You'll get color on the bottom edge as I'm doing the side edge. And when I'm doing the side edge, you'll see it's spraying, the bottom edge, it's spraying the side. So you just got to make sure you don't overdo that area. Here, if you were using a conventional style spray gun, you wouldn't be getting any paint up there. I can put the gun to where there's no way it would normally pick up, and it still does. So make sure you get all these corners, all these edges, and I usually do those first, especially with clear and stuff like that, because it doesn't matter if you have a couple extra coats in those areas, because that's where most detailers will burn through if you're color sand and polishing. This is one of the harder parts of the car to getting that lower area. Those rocker panels are always a nightmare. Now we go in and tack cloth off the whole entire car again. The windows, the everything. We could unmask and remask, but since we're doing just a quickie on this, we're just gonna tack cloth it off. And now I'm shooting the clear coat. Now this is a flat clear, which you have to make sure you shake it very well. You want to make sure that that flattening agent is completely shooken up. And it does take a long time. If you're doing it with a stick or anything like that, I would suggest something on a drill to where you make sure that you get all that flattening agent mixed up into that resin. So here you could really see the overlap pattern that I'm doing. It's basically 75%, maybe even 80%. And since this is a one and done type clear, you have to kind of spray it on a little heavier than you normally would. We'll end up doing 2 coats on this, but for protection and stuff like that, usually only 1 coat's done. Now with the clear coat, this is where you see all the body work you didn't do. or that you should have done. That's the whole reason why we're shooting flat clear on this. This is basically a rat rod. He just wanted it to be a color, not just be bare metal to where he had to constantly clean. And something to where it wasn't like all the rest. 90% of them are just done with epoxy primers, and you have to constantly try to respray those, keep them clean because they turn gray. So this, adding a little bit of color, that really helps. It's something he wanted to do, and it's something that we did do. It's your ride, so you got to make it to where you enjoy it. I want to say that his daughter and wife picked out the color, so we just made it. Sometimes it's better to jack up the car, put it up on jack stands, but with the height and the width of this car, I wouldn't have been able to get to the center of the roof and the hood. So spraying it basically where it sits is about the best we could do. Now, flat clears, you can't really get runs in. Trust me, you can. You don't want to. Because the idea is you'd have to sand it down and reshoot that panel. Or if you got it in multiple panels, you just end up reshooting the whole entire car. Now we talk about trying to always keep a wet edge. If you notice on the way I shot the roof there, I sprayed one side and then I went around and sprayed the other side instead of spraying the whole side of that car. The reason why is because I wanted the roof to blend into itself. So I started from one edge, worked towards center, then I grabbed the center and I pulled it all the way down the other edge. So you'll see I do the same thing with the hood. And what that does is that makes it to where you're not dry spraying the center of your hood. Now we let it sit for 15-20 minutes, kind of evaporate, allow some of the clear to leave the room and dry up a little bit. Some of the solvents come out. And now we go in for the second coat. So now the second coat, we want to be able to shoot the whole entire car and still have that fender be wet when I come back in and match it. So you see I spray the other side. So I'm just keeping a wet edge as I go. I'm spraying the back half, spraying the front half. And when I spray, I want that door to still be wet when I come in with that fender paint. And that way you get a nice even blend with that clear. You don't get like a dry spray look. If you're shooting shiny clear, it doesn't really matter. But shooting this flat clear, you have to make sure that it all blends in.
Well, as you can see, we got it all painted last night. We did all the different stages. This is the next morning. We let it dry overnight, and it's still a little soft, but it's getting there. We're gonna unmask it very carefully because it is still soft. And when you unmask, you want to here. Let me get a little bit started here. Let me in. You can pull off all the paper first, get rid of that. Leave the edges for the last. You're gonna work it down, and then you wanna kind of pull like real tight up against itself and at like a 45-degree angle. So you want to do that. That way, if there's any area of the paint that wants to lift, it kind of cuts itself. It's almost like you're peeling it back over itself to cut it. So you go about, halfway, a little bit more than halfway if you can. And then you go the other way. Now we put down so much chemical on this after, sealer and base coat and clear coats that it kind of goes in and softens up the glue. So you have a little bit of glue left over, which is easy to get off with another piece of tape. You just take a piece of tape and you put it on and then just kind of lift up, and it should pull most of it off. And if it doesn't, then just a little bit of cleaner will work. This is a 3-men tape, so it shouldn't leave glue like it is, but it is. Sometimes stuff like that happens. Now I'm not one that usually tapes stuff up too much. I prefer pulling it off, but sometimes like with glass and stuff like that, when you have new rubber installed, you don't want to try to get that glass back out. And rubber's not cheap, especially when you're doing chops and stuff like that. So, the safe way to get glass out is you just cut the rubber and you replace the rubber. That way you never have to worry about hurting glass. So on the flat paint job, this is pretty much the end stage of it. There's not much more. There's no color sand and polishing. There's no finishing up. You just basically spray it, and this is what you get. It is what it is. Yeah, it is what it is. And we got lucky. The temperature was perfect last night.
No bugs.
Yeah, no bugs in it yet that we can see. It was a little bit drizzly outside, which I think helped a lot with the bugs. You know, because we get a lot of mosquitoes and gnats down here. But the temperature being nice and cool out, we were able to keep a wet edge all the way around the car. So the clear was good enough for us. You know, it stayed wet. What I mean by that is when you put on your paint, you start going, and then when you walk around the car, you come back, you still need that what you first shot to still be wet. So when you take your paint and you go over it, it melts into what you just sprayed. So that way you don't have a dry line or dust that goes across it. And it's hard to get. So last night I set up a fan. After it set up enough to where I wasn't worried about stuff getting into the surface. It was about an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours later. I set up a fan in here and had it just circulate air. So that way it dries kind of. The idea is you don't want it to skin over on top. You want the chemicals to slowly come out. But you need to change the air in order for the solvents not to be so saturated in the air that it can't come back out. If that makes any sense. So hopefully it does. I'm going to keep masking and we're going to start cleaning off this rubber. And we'll do a little video of it driving down the street. All right? Something like that. Whatever, however we could finish this off. All right. Well, as you can see, that's a wrap. It's not a wrap, it's paint. So in less than 20 hours, he pulled a vehicle in here that was bare metal, a little bit of body work that he did to it. He did do his own chop top and all that stuff, so I can't say little bit of body work, it was a lot. He just got sick of trying to keep that patina of not rusting completely in the bare metal look, and he didn't want to go flat black. Flat black is 90% of the sleds out there are flat black if they're not painted. So without having to spend a fortune on body work and priming it and blocking it and doing all that stuff, he just wanted a nice vibrant color, and that's what he got. He got nice purple. The materials were a little pricey because we're in Los Angeles and we can't buy flat single stage paints. It seems like they don't exist. We were going to try a flattening agent in it, but you have to put so much flattening agent in it to try to get it to flatten down to like this type of flat that I'm not a chemist. I didn't want to take that chance. Normally you go like semi-gloss or like a more of a matte finish than a flat finish. So we opted for a base coat, clear coat system that would work together. Now this is a base coat, so if we were going to paint this shiny, it would be the same exact type of base coat. We just used a flat clear from a company and it was done. Basically mix it up, spray it on, you're good. So we shot a direct to metal primer. It's a primer surfacer. We reduced it to be a sealer, so that way we didn't have to sand it. And we shot 2 coats on it. We let it set up for a little bit, and then we proceeded with the purple. Now the purple was a 4-to-1 mixture of the base coat. That's how their base coat is designed. So we mixed that up and we went ahead and shot it purple. Then the clear was a 4-to-1 clear. So we mixed up the clear. Now with flat clear, you got to shake it really well. If you're not going to paint right when you get the paint from the manufacturer, from the paint store that you get it from, make sure to maybe take it down and have them put it on a shaker or stir it to where you're sick in the head. Maybe even use a drill with one of those stir bits on it to make sure that all of that flattening agent, that binder that they have down at the bottom, mixes well together, because otherwise you could get white chunks in it. You get stuff inside that paint, and you don't want that. So that basically does it for the flat clear. We shot it, we let it dry overnight, we unmasked it in the morning, and as you can see, it's already on the trailer getting ready to go home. So it's a simple-ish way for you to get color on your rod. And don't worry about it being judged. I mean, we're not doing this for that. We're doing it for yourself. You just get sick of tired of either flash rust or trying to preserve it, which this will do because it is sealed now with that clear coat. If you're not going to run a clear coat, you're going to have to use an epoxy primer. That's the only thing that we can say will protect that metal. So on this, we did not shoot any epoxy because it's expensive. We stayed away from the epoxy. We went with a direct to metal primer, a base coat, and the clear coat is what's going to protect the metal. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. I hope you guys learned something. That's the main reason why we do these videos, is so you learn something. Maybe what not to do, maybe what to do. And if you guys can, come up with a name for this car. We're looking for a name. We got a couple ideas, but you know, Purple People Eater's kind of old. Well, so is the car. So we'll talk to you guys. See you on the next episode. All right, where's the sandpaper?